This Kansas 2 DFS Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It is, of course, Friday. It's the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. If there's a little extra bounce in my step, it's because it's Friday and it's truck night in America, first and foremost. Thank you very much. Yes. And it's Friday, Cody. It's the end of the week.
That's right. Truck night in Kansas even, Rod. Yeah, excited for it. Gonna be a good weekend. Gonna be a good night with the Truck Series taking on the track tonight, and then on to Xfinity and Cup the next few days. All three back in action again this week and next week. Nice little 3 weeks in a row of all three series, which we don't get a ton near the end of the season generally.
Yeah, especially because the truck season, just like you blink and it's over. There's only a handful of races compared to the other two, and like at the end of the year, you're thinking, okay, well, now we got another 2 months rest before the next one, and here we go. But yeah, 3 weeks in a row, Kansas Speedway, 1.5-mile track, the cookie cutter, one of the few remaining cookie cutter tracks on the circuit. But today, we've already covered trucks, we've already covered Xfinity, we've already covered Cup. Now we talk about DFS, and we're getting this out early enough. We're gonna give you a truck pick. So those of you who download this instantly, right, for the early go-getters, we're going to give you some truck picks for DFS and Underdog. And for those of you who don't, we'll still give you an Xfinity and a Cup pick. But, this is for those of you who are early eager beavers, early risers. I don't know, whatever.
Early bird gets the worm.
There you go. Early bird get the truck picks.
Early listener gets the truck, I think, is what it is. Should we, Rod, just on the fly here, should we give out our truck DFS pick, then give out our truck Underdog pick? That way they're nice and easy here, or nice and early here in the show.
Yeah,
then we can do the rest like normal.
That's beautiful. Yeah, because we didn't get to it in the truck. Oh, no, we did. You talk about early in the episode. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's, up to you.
No.
You make the executive decision. I'm just saying we could do our 2 truck picks first, then go back and do, Xfinity DFS, Cup DFS, and then get into the Underdog portion. But whatever you think, just so that way, if they're listening early, it's right before the race, they get those picks in.
You are a wise producer.
Thinking of a man of the people here, Rod.
You are a man of the people. All right, let me tell you first about Doug Stanhope, Brendan Walsh, Sean Green. They are hosting the newest podcast on the SGPN, Get to the Points, every Thursday before the game. Doug, Brendan, and Sean give out their favorite plays and talk a ton of shit. Doug and Brandon are professional comedians. You may know them from the Joe Rogan podcast, the Howard Stern Show, and Comedy Central. You can subscribe to that show wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, watch it on YouTube. I checked out a little bit of it. Those guys make me laugh. I'll watch the rest of it here later. It doesn't matter that the game's already over. I still want to laugh at what they say. So go make sure you check out that show. It is worth your time. Speaking of worth your time, we're making this worth your time. Truck picks, first and foremost. Like we said, it is the Kansas Speedway here in Kansas City, Kansas. The trucks are set for, 134 laps around this 1.5-mile paved track for 201 miles in the Kubota Tractor 200. Cody, DFS picks wise, who are we targeting in this particular race?
Yeah, well, again, we're not doing the high, low, whatever, since we're just doing one from each. So you kind of scroll through the entire board. Who do I want to talk about that I haven't had a chance to talk about yet, Rod? I don't know if I would have had this on my bingo card, but let's talk about Matt Mills. He actually kind of jumps out off the board to me a little bit. Only 6,300, nice cheap option for you. He is in that 42 truck, which is a Nice Motorsports truck, right? That's actually the Carson Hocevar truck of the last few years. Has Matt Mills been doing Carson Hocevar things? No, but we know that truck is capable of good runs, right? Guy like Caden Honeycutt got a finish that was top 5, I believe, here at Kansas earlier this spring in one of those Nice trucks. When you look at Matt Mills, again, 6,300, so he's a cheaper guy, right? And a lot of his finishes, 25th, 24th, 22nd, 23rd, 18th, 26th. That's in general looking at his finishes. But something that stands out to me when I look at Matt Mills, if you go back a few weeks, Rod, and it's not for all the bigger tracks, right? And so looking at the bigger tracks where it's more the speed, things are more spread out, less room for tiny mistakes, right? Kind of cleans up some of those things for some of these guys. Somewhere like Indianapolis, 22nd, which isn't bad. You'll take that. 34th in DFS at this price. That's a decent day for you. But the upside that he offers you is 11th place rather at Pocono, where he finished. Nashville, not quite this big, but still a bigger track. 8th place. That's a lot of points for a guy at only 6,300. But then, Rod, the most recent mile and a half we were on, Charlotte, 4th place finish, started at 15th, so still got you some place differential. A 4th place finish for a guy that's only 6,300. That is a very, very strong day for you. Here in the spring, 23rd place, not the greatest of all days, but not bad. Darlington, another, little bit of a bigger track, more of an intermediate, right? 11th place finish there as well. Now, Las Vegas was 31st, right? So it's definitely not a foolproof thing. It's still Matt Mills that you're taking a risk on here. But I do think at only 6,300, he's somebody to highlight because he has massive, massive upside. When you look at some of the people that are more down in that range, it's like, they could have a good day for you and whatnot, but do they have the upside of finishing in 4th place like we saw him do at Charlotte a few weeks ago? Sorry, Marco Andretti, probably not. Sorry, Timmy Hill, while I love him as one of my almost weekly value plays, he doesn't have that type of upside on him. Dawson Sutton in his first race, more expensive. Jake Garcia, is he still driving in the Truck Series, Rod? Nobody even knows. These guys don't have that upside, and they're even more expensive. So, Matt Mills, somebody who jumps off the board to me at 6,300.
I love it. That's somebody that I totally kind of glossed over. So I'm glad that you picked him up because, again, it's one of those guys where I was searching around and I was like, man, I may go higher this time just to actually have a dominator in there who I think could be a dominator in this race eventually. But I'm glad you picked up a value play for this one as well. And I do like Matt Mills. So give me that one for you as well. All right, I'm going to jump up to the top of the board for mine and talk about somebody that I talked about in the truck betting episode. I know some of you guys don't listen to the truck betting episode, and that's fine. So if you're listening to the DFS episode,
you should listen. But.
That's true. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I think you should listen to all of our shows. But I get it. Time a lot, whatever. But if you didn't listen, I talked about the Sanchez last week. Again, props to Seth over there, IBT, for dropping that phrase. The Sanchez, $9,800 for Nicholas Sanchez, who Bet US has given us Nicholas Sanchez. Look, for Nick Sanchez, I think he's going to have the possibility of a fantastic finish here. And in fact, he could lead some laps on this track as he did in 2023. He led 43 laps. He started on the outside pole. Unfortunately, he finished in 8th place. So differential points kind of got you on that aspect of it. But the 43 laps that he led in this race kind of made up for that and got you a pretty decent DFS day out of him. But this spring, this is where I'm definitely, if he turns in another performance like he did this spring, you're going to love having Nick Sanchez on your card. He started 31st. Now, I probably won't start 31st in this particular race. However, he started 31st. He ended up finishing 6th in that race. Talk about a huge differential. And he actually led a lap in that one just to make it a little more interesting for you. Got you 64 points on that day. That is a fantastic return on what was initially a $10,300 investment. Now, you're not paying that much for him now. You're paying $9,800 for him. this particular week. So that's a bit of a discount there for a guy that could pretty much get you a ton of points. He's averaging right now the 4th most fantasy points per race this season. 39.5 is what he's got. He's 0.2 points behind he's actually, that's salary. As far as fantasy points, he's still 4th, but he's 3rd among active drivers. So it goes Christian Eckes at 58.6, Corey Heim at 57.7, and then Nick Sanchez at 39.5. Brendan Queen, 41.8 for those of you who care. I don't think we're going to get that much of a performance out of him. But 7,000 may be worth a look. But anyways, Nick Sanchez, $9,800. Like I said, I think he's going to have a fantastic game. If you look at what he's done this season altogether, 12 top 10 finishes in 18 starts. That means he only finished outside of the top 10 in 6 races. One of those was Richmond. That was a clutch problem. That wasn't even his own fault. Nashville started 33rd, finished 13th, so may not have gotten in the top 10, but still clawed his way up through the field. And then on the road course, started 4th, finished 18th. That's a road course. Vegas finished 17th after an 8th place start. That's tough too. But again, lot of possibility for Nick Sanchez to return on a pretty modest $9,800 salary for what he's capable of. So give me Nicholas Sanchez, $9,800 is my driver for DFS.
Yeah, I like this, and we've seen both sides of it. He's a very good qualifier on the intermediate tracks, and so he could start up front, lead a lot of laps early. We also saw it the spring in Kansas, started at the back and got his way all the way up to the front with a 6th place finish, got you all the place differential and the finishing points positions. So, and then we've seen, Texas last year, he'd lead 163 laps. I mean, there's not even that many laps in this race. He has that ability, so I love it. We both talked about him and had picks on him in the betting episode yesterday for the Truck Series. So fully endorse your Nicholas Sanchez play, Rob.
He may never be Nick Sanchez again. Nicholas Sanchez is pretty much where he's at. Nicholas Sanchez, I think is what we're going to call him. All right, listen, I know we normally get again to the underdog after the break, but do you want to go ahead and just load up our underdog plays for the Truck Series? Let's do that. Again,
we appreciate you guys who are listening right away when these drop. Sorry we couldn't get out a little earlier, but still out before the Truck Series, and you can get these plays in. Rod, Ty Majeski worse than 6.5. What are we doing, Rod? He has 7 career starts at Kansas Speedway. Do you know how many times Ty Majeski has finished better than 6.5?
I'm going to go with a low number, probably 0.
It's 1, actually. He did have a second place finish all the way back in May of 2022. But outside of that, not great. Spring race here, 33rd. Last fall, 18th. Last spring, 25th. None of these close to 7.5. Okay, May of 2022, he was good, right? He finished 2nd. What about the fall of 2022? He finished 8th. Still not better than 6.5. Even a better number for us, which is great. 30th in his one other start here. Not been good. Okay, fine, but he's been good lately, right? 8th place last week at Bristol, but 2nd in Milwaukee, 1st at Richmond, 1 IRP. But what about the big tracks, Rod? Because that's what we should be comparing this to, not the short tracks of late. Well, Pocono, I'm sure he did well there, right? He started in 6th place, 31st place. Nashville, that's a bigger track, 9th place, not better than. Oh, but he finished better at Gateway. It's a smaller track, right? Charlotte, what about that? 23rd. Okay, Darlington, he did have a 5th place finish. So I'll give him credit there. Kansas, he started 2nd, Rod, still finished 33rd. So even though you might listen to this after qualifying, and that might be when you get the opportunity on this, hopefully he qualifies well, and they move that number down. Give us a 4.5, baby, right? It'll be even better if he does. Texas, 10th place. What about Las Vegas? If you remember, that one guy said he was really fast. Well, he finished in 10th place. Was not better than 6.5. Kansas last year, already mentioned, 18th place. Just kind of looking through some of these other ones, like Kansas, 25th again. I did have a 5th place in Las Vegas all the way last March. So I guess that's a positive in the column there. Charlotte, 7th place. That's still not better than 6.5. So yes, he's been, again, if you didn't listen to yesterday's betting episode on the Truck Series, in the Truck Series specifically, massive difference between the short tracks and the big tracks and who's good at what. And don't take, Majeski's been so good the last few weeks. Yeah, because it's short tracks. We told you he was going to be good. Shocker, he was good. But same thing we made this argument against Lane Riggs yesterday. very good on the short tracks. It's not going to translate to Kansas Speedway. You're not going to see it there. Now, Majeski's been capable of having good runs on big tracks before. He's in a good truck, but majority of the time does not get it done. 1 for 7 here at Kansas, the one being 2.5 years ago. I'll take the chances on the worst then. So Ty Majeski, worse than 6.5. You just, just love it, Rod. This is a great number by Underdog once again.
I mean, it breaks your heart to have to do it, but that's exactly what you have to do. So that's true. I don't know. It breaks some people's heart. It doesn't break my heart either. So
sorry,
I know, right? Sorry, Dos Flacos. We love
our resident Majeski fan.
I mean, somebody's got to be, right? There's got to be 1 or 2 of them out there in the world. So glad to know we have some that are listening to us. All right, I will give you my Underdog fantasy pick, and then we'll come back with the rest of the things afterwards. Caden Honeycutt, they've got him at 6.5. I just, it's funny to me that they do this because I know, because Caden
overreaction much?
A little. Caden Honeycutt finished 4th in Kansas earlier this year, right? His spring finish was 4th. So they said, you know what? 6.5. This is definitely a great projection for him. No, give me the worst then on this one. I know he finished 4th in the spring here, but his previous 2 races before that, granted they were in the 02 and the 30 truck, but still 27th and 24th. Okay, Rod. Well, then what has he done in other 1.5 mile tracks? Las Vegas, 25th place in his only start there. Charlotte, 7th place in his only start there earlier this season in the 45. Granted, that's a great run, right? But it's still not better than 6.5. So far this season, Caden Honeycutt's participated in 9 Truck Series races. His average finishing position is 14.7, coming off of a terrible day at Bristol last week. 35th place finish there, 12th at Milwaukee, 14th at Richmond, 33rd at Nashville, a 7th at Charlotte, like we said, but still, is that better than 6.5? No, I don't think so. 4th at Kansas, okay, great. 9th at Martinsville, 12th at Bristol, 6th at Atlanta, but that's a super speedway. That doesn't count. Anybody can finish 6th in Atlanta. My grandma can finish better than 6th in Atlanta. I've seen her do it before. Marshawn Lynch can finish better than 6th in Atlanta. If you haven't watched that video, I highly suggest you go search Marshawn Lynch NASCAR, and Des Bryant were running in NASCARs. It was hilarious. But yeah, look, Caden Honeycutt, 6.5. I'm not even going to try to justify this anymore because it just doesn't seem like I mean, if that 45 truck has speed, sure. Caden Honeycutt can run well, but this is a playoff race. This is where, probably 8 of the 10 playoff drivers are going to be, 8 of the top 10 are going to be playoff drivers in this race, right? Which doesn't leave very much room for too many other people to be inside the top 10. I don't think that 45 truck is going to be anywhere near the top 6. 6.5. Give me worse than on Caden Honeycutt.
Yeah, no arguments here. I mean, if he was like a long shot top 5, you wanted to place it, you could make the case, right? He finished 4th here in the spring, right? But setting that projection at 6.5, what are we doing? Like way overreacting here. You have to take the worst in on this. Rod, one bonus pick for you. Lane Riggs, worse than 8.5. Another gift from our friends over at Underdog.
Beautiful stuff. Absolutely love it. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll break down Xfinity and Cup for you as well. But thank you for those of you who listen early. You got some truck picks in that one. So let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We just got done giving you our Underdog Fantasy picks for the truck race. We'll do the same for the Xfinity and the Cup Series later on in the show. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is always adding to their awesome menu, and they got now first touchdown projections. Gotta love those things, man. They're all the rage right now. Underdog's got them for you as well. Ton of ways to win with NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, NASCAR, Formula One, and so much more. Their lobby's jam-packed with profit boosts and no sweat entries. You can also use specials and boosts now on all flexed entries. Going to be using mine on that Caden Honeycutt 6.5. There's no way on God's green earth he's going to get that far. So make sure you join us on that. And the Lane Riggs one too. You're welcome. Sign up now with promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. All right, Cody, let's move on to the Xfinity Series race where they will be racing the Kansas Lottery 300 on Saturday. 200 laps around this 1.5 mile paved track for an even 300 miles. This should be, we talked about it at the betting episode, kind of a chalky race. There's a lot of folks out there that are probably poised to lead quite a few of these 200 laps. And so you got to get the dominators, which means it's important to get some value. But again, kind of going in the mid tier for mine. I see you are going up to the higher range for yours. So kind of swapping places in this.
Ish going to that. So I opened this up and I'm expecting to see Justin Allgaier 11,000. Of course, you would expect that, right? Cole Custer at 10,800. You expect that. Chandler Smith at 10,500. You'd expect that. And I'm like, would they forget to put Eric Almirola on the where you got all the way down at $9,500, Rod? Have we not watched this 20 car this season? What are we doing? Again, made this case on the betting episode earlier this week. And it just like this number was too good to pass up. Not talking about Almirola again. 9,500 is just way too cheap. This 20 car has been on all season. It's won numerous times. Now they've made the move. Almirola was originally going to be in the 19 car this week. They made the move, put him in the 20. He's going to be in the 20 for all of the playoff races. They're basically putting him in and saying, go get the championship for the owner's title in this car. Of course, that's how the team gets paid as far as the points go. They love that, and they're probably going to get it done with Eric Almirola. Pretty good chance of that, right? Even though he's not competing for the driver's championship, the owner's championship still means a lot to the team, and it will mean a lot to Almirola as well to get it done. And he's the guy they're trusting when this car has been just loaded all season with all-star drivers, right? So you got to love that. This car won this race last season with John Nemechek in it. The 20 car, it's been good, right? India a couple of weeks ago, third place. Now that was the super speedway package. So take that with a grain of salt, but still it wasn't the full, we didn't get the Atlanta experience like we did at Michigan, right? It was still speed mattered a lot. You had fast cars up front, and Almirola was in that mix of those three going for it at the end there. Fifth place at Darlington. Those are kind of his intermediate starts later in the season here. 4 top 5 finishes and 7 starts. Early on in the season, Rod, the JGR cars were not super fast on the 1.5 miles. There were some red flags raised. We haven't been to a 1.5 miles in a while. It's been all the way back in May. It was the last time we were at Charlotte. But I have full faith. Well, last time we were at a big track like this without the drafting part, right? Because Michigan, but hard to look at that but I've got full faith in the best program in the Xfinity Series to have fixed their issues, got back to fast cars like we've always seen them have on this type of track. You put Almirola in here, been a great driver here in the Cup Series. I mentioned it on the betting episode earlier this week. 4 top 10 finishes inside of the Petty 43 car at this track. He's been a very good driver here. We don't get Cup Series guys in the Xfinity Series when it's in the playoffs like this, Rod, but you do, because Eric Almirola is still a Cup Series guy. He's not running full-time in the Cup Series anymore, but he's coming off of just being full-time last season. He's kicking ass. If Martin Truex Jr. is in these cars, oh my God. I know he's retired right now, Rod, but the ultimate scenario of go fish for 3 months, then show up at the track on a Saturday and just kick everybody's ass in one of these very fucking fast cars. Truex is going to live on that shit. It's going to be great. Can't wait for that. But it's Eric Almirola for right now. Should not be this cheap at $9,500, Rod. He is a must play this weekend.
Yeah, that 20 car, it almost feels like you just put the 20 car into your DFS lineup and build around it each and every week, at least one of your lineups for sure, because that's a winning strategy. It's been a winning strategy for people all season long. So yeah, it doesn't matter who's driving, whether it's Eric, whether it's John Hunter, whether it's my grandma again, that 20 car is basically on autopilot around any sort of track. So you got to have him, especially, man, if he's that much of a discount over Allgaier and them, you got to throw him in there as well. All right. I guess the guy that's going to be going to JGR again, he's going home to JGR, Sammy Smith. He is $8,600 right now. And he's the guy I'm gonna take a step. Again, you're gonna have to have probably all of these guys in there, but I think you do need to make at least one lineup where you can save a little bit of money with Sammy Smith at $8,600, and then figure out a way to work around the rest of it as well. Sammy Smith had a very rough spring on this track. He ended up finishing in 35th place after crashing out, but I will say he was in the top 15 as far as laps, the percentage of laps that he was inside the top 15, 96.9% of this race. He had a driver rating of 71 at the end of the day, unfortunately, but he led a lap. He was in as high as the first place with that lap that he led. I'm telling you right now, it was tough for him. He started on the outside pole, could have had a really big day. but got caught up in a late wreck with the 2, the 7, and the 18. So unfortunately, it was a bad day for him there. But I will say that the race before that, he finished 8th place. Of course, that was in the 18 as well. But I'm sorry, it wasn't the spring for Sammy Smith. It was last fall. They didn't come here in the spring. It was the trucks and the Twitch cuts. So last fall in the 18, he ended up finishing in 35th place. But anyways, he still had an 8th place finish on there. How's he done at mile and a half tracks? Not bad. He had an 8th place finish earlier this spring at Las Vegas in that 8 car. And then he had a 3rd place finish at Charlotte to go along with a 10th place finish the year before. Very young driver, very talented driver. He can get around these mile and a halves. I do believe that this is an opportunity for him to just kind of pick it up again, right? A 5th place finish at Darlington, 7th place in Atlanta, a couple of rough weeks at Watkins Glen and Bristol, 19th and 15th. But we've seen speed, like we said, out of this 8 car. And you know me, I love me some JRM. I almost said JGR. Damn it, Cody, you're seeping into my veins. Some JRM. This will be one of his last races with the team. Feel like he's going to go out with a bang and give him a good finish. So give me Sammy Smith at $8,600.
Yeah, I think you laid out a good case for him. Sammy Smith is always one of those guys where it's like you don't really know what to do with him, but you're sort of on him this week, and I think that it's he's one of those guys that not going to lead you a ton of laps, right? But he can just go out and have a solid day and score you a good chunk of points, which are drivers that you need in your lineups, right? Like, yeah, we could just give you Allgaier and Chandler Smith and say they're going to be fast out front, but you spend all your budget now, right? You got to fill these lineups out, and I think Sammy Smith is a great guy that's that section of drivers that always gets overlooked because you grab your big dogs, then you scroll all the way to the bottom and throw in a couple guys at the bottom, but you got to get these guys like Sammy Smith in there, so I like it, Rob.
Indeed. All right, let's move on to actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go commercial free the rest of the way. I want to tell you about some of our friends, and then we'll get to the Cup Series picks and the underdog picks after the break. But let me tell you about our friends over at BetUS. We're brought to you by BetUS. BetUS is the best in the business. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. We gave you a ton of bets on all of our betting episodes, actually, with BetUS. They've given us some great NASCAR lines this week, so go back, listen to those to get some of our favorite picks from BetUS. You can support SGPN and get yourself access to another great book by signing up at BetUS. Use our link, sign up, and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. I am putting my faith in Rhythm this week to predict Bo Nix's completions. I mean, the line set at 18.5. I can't see how Bo Nix completes more than 18.5, but Rhythm told me no, not so fast. Bo Nix is going to complete more than 18.5 passes this week against a very tough Jets defense. So I'm trusting Rhythm, and we're going with it. And I'm pretty sure that Rhythm's going to lead me in the right direction once again this week. So follow me along with that one on Bo Nix and his completions, and we'll all celebrate together. You can claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. You know you are a DGen when you are hanging on every completion from a rookie quarterback for the Denver Broncos. That's where we're at in this world. But thanks to Rhythm.
I love it, Rod. That's what makes all this great.
It makes everything great. I mean, I used to love every aspect of football and for fantasy football, but then you get into betting and it just opens a whole different world of what you're paying attention to.
It is a beautiful, beautiful world, Rod. Speaking of beautiful worlds and fantasy, how about we go over to the Cup Series next? I'm going to go with one Bubba Wallace. $9,000, Rod. Again, this is one that's just, it's too good to pass up where he is at. Bubba Wallace has been good at Kansas Speedway, if you didn't know. We talked about it in the betting episode. 2311 just missed in the spring. It was very uncharacteristic. Bubba wasn't very good. Tyler wasn't very good. They just didn't quite show up. Again, this is a team that I have full faith in has fixed that. Denny was fine. He was just fast. So maybe they were trying something different out. I don't really know what was going on. But I think the 2311 is going to be back. So 17th place finish in the spring. You'd obviously like a little bit better than that. And he was 32nd here last fall, Rod. But asterisk to that, led 3 laps in the race, finished second in stage 1. Fucking fast car. We had a bunch of bets in on him. Things were looking great. Blows a tire, hits the wall while he's running in 3rd place. Ruins his day. Obviously 32nd, not the type of day you want. But he was fast. He was running good before that. Looked good. Sometimes shit just happens, right? Not much you can do about a blown tire. But before that, Rod, in May of 23, led 9 laps here, 4th place finish. That is great. But here's the upside that you want. In September of 22, he won this race, leading 58 laps. That's the type of performances you can get from Bubba Wallace. 10th place before that, 14th place before that, in the early days of 2311 even. But 2311 has owned Kansas. They've been great here. That 45 car has won 3 falls in a row, including the one Bubba won back in 22 to start that stretch, I guess, right? Because he would, or no, that would have been, I don't know. I can't do math. That would have been the middle, I guess. Kurt had the one in 21, then Bubba won in 22, and then it was Tyler last year. But 2311 has been really good, especially in this fall race. I think that's going to keep up. At only $9,000, Bubba Wallace definitely needs to be in your lineups this week.
There's so much potential for good return on that one too. Like Bubba, you're right. That 45 car and the 2311, that's just, I don't know what it is about them being that on that track, but they're really, really good. Like you said, on this track. So any piece of it that you can get on 2311, I say, take it and run with it, because for whatever reason, you're getting good lines, you're getting good prices, and you're getting good numbers on these guys. So yeah, grab a piece of 2311 and run to the ticket counter. All right. Speaking of a guy not getting a ton of respect, and I guess for good enough reason, is Ross Chastain. $7,800 for him. I think he is a good mid-tier driver for this particular track. You're not looking for him to come out and dominate, which he probably won't. However, earlier in the spring, he did lead 43 laps of this race. He started on the outside pole. Unfortunately, the finish wasn't there for him. He finished 19th, and that kind of ruined your DFS day. But, I mean, again, those 43 laps that he led were early enough in the race to where you were hopeful that he could keep on and keep doing well at this particular track. He does have a 3 finishes of 7th or better in the last 5 outings on this. A 7th place in 2022, a 7th place in the fall of 2022, a 5th place finish in the spring of 2023, a 13th place finish in the fall of 2023. So again, he gets around this track pretty well. How does he do on mile and a halfs outside of that? Well, in the spring, he finished 4th at Las Vegas, right? He started 20th and finished 4th at Las Vegas, led 2 laps along the way. Not bad DFS day there. He has a 5th place finish in the fall of 2023 in Vegas. 12th, he had a runner-up finish in 2022, and then a 3rd place finish in the spring of 2022. So really solid finishes on that mile and a half. He does struggle at Charlotte, especially in this one car, but he's turned in a couple of decent DFS days along the way. In the spring of 2022, started 22nd, finished 15th. So not bad. Led 153 laps that day at Charlotte. Whew, that's a hot day. And then in 2023, he finished 22nd after starting 14th. Not really good there, but earlier this spring, he led 10 laps, started 7th, finished 8th. So it didn't really kill you in DFS. Got you a pretty solid day there as well. So again, Ross Chastain, just a modest $7,800, but he's definitely got the potential to do good things for you in this race. We didn't even really set it up. It's the Hollywood Casino 400. We are set for 267 laps around this mile and a half paved track for 400.500 miles. Ross Chastain, if he jumps up and leads you 30, 40, 50 of those laps, you'll be pretty happy. If he comes in with a top 10 finish, you'll be even happier. So Ross Chastain, $7,800.
Yeah, hard to argue against this one. $7,800 is so cheap for a guy of Ross Chastain's capability, right? It's been a disappointing season overall. Didn't make the playoffs, all this and that, but he still has the ability to be a very fast car, to run really good. And you're getting a heck of a discount here. He could be, that type of like GPP. That's the word I'm looking for, Rod. He could be that type of GPP play that really lifts you up because nobody sees a good race from him coming.
Indeed. All right. Well, then, we've already given you our Truck Series underdog picks. Let's go ahead and move on to the Xfinity and Cup Series underdog picks for these races. Cody, who do we got for Xfinity?
Yeah, Rod. This one actually sort of surprised me a little bit, but I'm going to take. I'm being a little negative today. I don't know if it's because it's Friday or what's going on. I should be positive, but we're going on taking a lot of worse thens today in the underdogs, but they're giving us some projections that just, it is what it is. So Cole Custer, worse than 4.5. But Rod, I know we talk about every single week how he's an automatic top 3. Why would you take him worse than 4.5? But Rod, here's why. He's got 5 career starts at Kansas Speedway. We're going to take a little walk through Cole Custer's history at Kansas Speedway in the Xfinity Series. He started out his career, don't know if you knew this, in the number 5 car for Junior Motorsports. In October of 2016, Rod got in a crash, finished in 35th. Not very impressive. Then he jumped over to Stewart-Haas Racing in that 00 car, showed up here in 2017, qualifies in 7th place. All right, here we go. Finishes both stages in the points, but finishes the race in 19th. Then he comes back in 2018. Now we're starting to get into the dominant years, right? This is when Cole Custer is kicking everybody's ass in the Xfinity Series, winning 5, 6, 7, 8 races a year. All of this domination, right? 26th place in October of 2018. All right, maybe that was a bad one. All right, we'll come back in 2019. Here we go, Rod. Starts in 5th place. He leads 85 laps. He wins stage 2, 2nd place in stage 1. Still finishes in 11th place. Then you come back last season, the champion. He goes on to win everything, leads 3 laps, 2nd in stage 1, doesn't finish the race. 36th place finish. Custer and Kansas have not really gone hand in hand in this Xfinity Series, Rod. Now, all the recency stuff's going to show you they've been fast. They've been good at SHR over there. And Custer finishes 3rd place basically every single week. So you're definitely taking a risk there. But I'm going to lean into his track history here. Maybe Kansas just not the place for Cole Custer. Has not worked out throughout his entire time. And that's sort of, you're getting different time periods, right? Beginning of his career, not good. Then we go into the dominant years at SHR, not good. The return, he's the champion last year, not good. All 3 kind of sections of his career are here in the Xfinity Series, not good. And 11th place is the closest he's gotten. And his projection is at 4.5. How do you take the better then on that? So give me the worse than 4.5 on Cole Custer.
We say it a lot, and it really is true though, because when you look at some of these drivers and they have these outstanding averages on 1.5 miles or road courses or whatever it is that the stats lead you to, right? And they're always they're so dominant on this style of track. And then you go through the statistics for one particular track and it's just horrible. There really are tracks out there that some drivers just cannot master, no matter how good they are on the style of track that it is. So, I mean,
yeah,
sometimes you have to pull yourself away from that speed ranking stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And just to kind of expand on it, right? He won Bristol last week, and it was a dominating performance. Leads 104 laps. But prior to that, Watkins Glen 21st, road course, I get it, but 31st at Atlanta. He was 2nd at Darlington, so it was intermediate track, right? Really good. 32nd at Daytona, 30th at Michigan. Those were drafting tracks. 2nd at Indy, but again, drafting. But he was fast to Pocono where he won. But then 18th, 9th, 3rd, but 6th, 9th, 3rd, 6th, 32nd, 5th. He's still only finishing better than 4.5 once every 3 to 4 to 5 races. I mean, it's not, we joke that he's in 3rd place every week and he's constantly in the top 5, and he's probably going to be fast this weekend. He's probably going to qualify well. He's probably going to run well, but he just can't get to the end of these races for whatever reason that is. And I think that's the side that I'm going to take on this, just because there's only 4 spots that can beat me when you got 36 cars, 36, 38, whatever it is, cars in this race. So yeah, give me the Custer worse than side on 4.5.
All right, well then I will be the ray of sunshine, and I will take a better than in this instance, and that's Sheldon
Wow,
Creed.
we are going 5 for 6 on the worst thens, right?
We kind of are. Aren't
Hey, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and get some good opportunities here.
Very good opportunities, but this is a good one. Sheldon Creed, better than
second place. Just says second place. Sheldon Creed to finish second place.
when I saw this number, that's the thing. Like, I saw this number and I was like, really? That's 6? So 6.5 is his. Oh my God, that's better than. I'm taking the better than at 3.5. I'm taking the better than on 3.5. Sheldon Creed is going to finish in second place. That Sheldon Creed is going to finish. He does it all the time. Like, this is where Sheldon Creed ends up finishing, and that's second place for Sheldon Creed. So I don't have to really give you much of if you've listened to this show once, you've listened to it a million times on where Sheldon Creed tends to finish. But on this particular track in general, on the Kansas Speedway rather, he does have a 3rd place and 11th place finish. Now, only one of those, yes, is better than 6.5, but it's well documented that Sheldon Creed finishes in second place. He's finished second at Bristol, second at Watkins Glen. He finished 3rd at Darlington. Oh, that's not second, but that's really damn close. 2nd at Michigan, 5th at Indianapolis, 4th at Pocono, 2nd in Loudon, 5th at Iowa, 2nd at Sonoma, 4th at Dover. I mean, the only really bad day that he had on a 1.5 mile track was in Las Vegas earlier this season, where he finished in 26th. But I'm telling you right now, like, this guy, he's going to be jockeying for the win. He's definitely going to be jockeying for a top 5 finish. He's got 17 top 10 finishes in 26 starts. That's impressive. But 13 top 5. That means 50% of the time he steps out on the track, he is a top 5 driver. That is better than 6.5. And if you're giving me a coin flip as to whether or not he's good, and that's counting super speedways and road courses and short tracks and everything, that's not just 1.5 miles where he's pretty damn good too. Sheldon Creed, better than 6.5. It doesn't make sense to set it that low, but we'll jump on it.
Yeah. And yet Custer's at 4.5. Sometimes it's like, boy, what are we doing here? I mean, it doesn't really make any sense, but that's what we're here for, right? And that's why we're here to take advantage of that, Rod. So yeah, I fully endorse this one and love Creed on the better than side of things. And best part, you don't have to worry, he doesn't have to win the race. So you're safe there. If he finishes second for a 14th time in a row, you'll still cash this one.
Gotta love it. All right, let's move to the Cup Series for the underdog picks. Cody, who do you got?
Yeah, Rod, what if I told you it had been 18 races since someone had finished inside of the top 7, and you're getting their projection at 7.5? What would you think about that, Rod?
Well, I would tell you that I don't believe it, because everybody else is going to say that it's not true, and that person's going to have to do better than 7.5 this week.
I listen to a lot of different people throughout the week, and I appreciate all the different angles on things, and I love numbers. I think that numbers are great. I think that you can use them a lot to your advantage. But I think there are times where it takes a person to separate what's going on from the numbers, and that's how we can get to where we're going. And numbers is the reason why Martin Truex Jr. is set at 7.5, Rod, because, well, we look back at Kansas, and he's been really fucking good here, and he's finished better than 7.5 a lot of the time. And this is sort of the opposite argument that I just made for Custer, but it's a different situation, because Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick called him out on his podcast this week, Rod. I don't know if you heard it, but he said, you can't come into the Cup Series and be 1 foot in the car, 1 foot in the fishing hole, and, waffling back and forth. Was he going to come back this year? Was he not going to come back? And we've seen what that's done. And Kevin Harvick is not incorrect. Kevin Harvick is very correct. It's been 18 races. Kansas in the spring, Rod, last time we were here, is the last time Martin Truex Jr. not only had a top 5, but had a top 7 finish. 18 races in a row, he has not finished inside of the top 7. And you're like, okay, but he's been really good at Kansas. Well, yeah, but he's been really good at Bristol, and he's been really good at Michigan, and he's been really good at Richmond, and he's been really good at New Hampshire, one of his best tracks, right? He's been really good at all these places, if you go back and look, and still hasn't finished better than 7.5. Why is he suddenly? Maybe, Rod, alternate universe. The playoffs are done. The pressure is off. He just goes out, kicks everybody's ass, finishes in the top 7. If he does, fine. Beat me. That's cool. Whatever. But everything about everything we've seen over the last 18 races since Kansas in the spring is Martin Truex Jr.'s checked out. He's retired. He's got 1.5 feet in the Cabela's fishing pond. He's probably already in Kansas over at Cabela's fishing right now. Why would you take the better there? I don't understand. You got to go worse than 7.5 on Martin Truex. And this, I mean, Rod, you could set this number. You could have set this number at 23.5. And over the last 6 races, he would have been on the better than one time. Over the last, I got to go back far. Over the last 8 races, it would have been better than one time. Over the last 11 races, it would have been better than 2 times. He's not been good, and he's not even anywhere close to good. Or he's not, he's just outside the top 10 every week. He's 24th to 30th every single week, and just, going 2 laps into the Southern 500 or whatever it is. Things are just bad for Truex right now. I hate to see it. I would love to see Truex get one last win and go out. I hate it when these legends just peter out of the sport, Jimmy Johnson. But it happens, Rod. And you think we were going to go this whole show without me getting a dig in on you? Sorry, I can't help it. But yeah, fade Martin Truex Jr. That bus continues to roll on. 7.5, just way too high of a projection.
When you listen to people that defend Martin Truex Jr., and there's a few, there's some out there that will point to, he was running in the, he was running this many laps and he was running this fast. But I say this, right? And I know that we are a community that thrives on statistics, that thrives on all of these advanced analytics that we can pull from. But when you get so tied to them that you just don't even pay attention to the fact that, okay, if this happened once and he was running in that, then okay, I'll make an exception. If this happened twice, all right, that's some bad luck.
It's the same comparison like Bubba Wallace, right? Yeah, he didn't finish good here in the fall, but he was fast. That was a tire going down, and some of Truex's stuff has just been bad luck, but a lot of it's created luck. Like last week at Bristol, when he inexplicably, the most senior driver in the entire series, speeds on pit road and costs himself a chance at a championship. That's the type of stuff you got to look at and be like, you can't bet on this, or in this case, you can't take the better than projection because, man, it doesn't make any sense. And if he beats us, whatever. But everything that you're looking at lately is not anywhere close to this.
No, Cody, if he beats us is not the right answer. You're supposed to be 100% on all of your predictions every single week.
If he beats us, look at the numbers. He was great at Kansas. The numbers told us, Rod, and they were who he thought they were.
And we didn't listen. He was who we thought he was. Speaking of that, I'm about to alienate an entire section of fans again. I don't mean to, but if they keep doing this to us, I'm going to keep doing this. This is what's going to happen. Ty Gibbs, his projection is at 10.5. His finishing position is set at 10.5. I got to take the worst then in this case. I know you guys love him. I know he's going to be the 2025 Cup Series champion. I get that, but he's got to get there. And so far, look, he has one top 20 finish in his I'm sorry, that's Las Vegas, but he's got 2 he's got one top 30 finish in his 4 career starts on this track. And that was in the 54 car in 2023 in the fall. So see, that's even worse. I was gonna even give him a little bit, and I was on the Las Vegas tab, but he's got one top 30 finish on this track in his career. He's got a 34th place finish in the fall of 2022. It was a rookie year. Crashed out of that one. 34th, crashed out of the second one in the spring of 2023. 14th place in the fall of 2023, and then earlier this spring started 6th. Finished 32nd. Rod, he's great. He's the fastest guy in the world. He's going to win every single race that he ever steps foot in. Yeah, but he's finished 30th or worse in the last 3 of the 4 races that he's been on. Las Vegas, another 1.5 miles. He did have a good finish, in the spring. He finished in 5th, but before that, 34th, 22nd. And look, honestly, he started the season out pretty good too, right? I mean, we thought he was going to be really that sophomore slump wasn't going to be real. However, since then, he's only finished inside of he's got two decent finishes, two top 5 finishes in the last 9 races. 27th at Pocono, 23rd at Indy, 22nd at Richmond, 3rd at Michigan, which is great. Kansas is mini Michigan. That's okay. We'll go there, right? But 5th at Daytona. That's a drafting track. 20th at Darlington, 17th in Atlanta, 22nd at North Wilkesboro, 15th at Bristol. That sophomore slump is hitting. It's hit hard. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter what kind of track he's been on. I mean, other than Michigan, which is great that he finished well there. But look, man, a top 10 finish has been difficult for Ty Gibbs to accomplish over the last several months now as we get there. He got a 3rd in Chicago. That's great, but that's a street course. We expected him to do well on that. Before that, a 6th place at Charlotte, which, is all fine and well. That's another 1.5 miles. 2nd at Darlington, but 32nd at Kansas. It's just, look, my faith in Ty Gibbs is going to be great when he shows it to me again. He's showing me how inconsistent he is. He's not in the playoffs now. You've seen that all these playoff drivers are going to dominate this top 10, which kind of pushes him on the outside. So he's got little room to work with in this instance. Will he be a top 15 driver? Probably, but I don't think he's going to be a top 10. So give me Ty Gibbs worse than 10.5.
Yeah, unfortunately, your fading of Gibbs has paid off for you well lately, so it's hard to argue with it. The only thing I would say is the comparable tracks he's been good at. 3rd at Michigan, right? 6th at Charlotte. You like those things. 13th at Texas was worse than. 32nd at Kansas was worse than. Las Vegas, 10th place was better than. So it's been a mixed bag, and lately he's been pretty good on them. But and Gibbs. The Gibbs card should be fast here, Rod, as I just made a case against Truex. But, yeah, I wish it was a little bit of a lower number. If it was like an 8.5, I'd feel more comfortable on the worse than side. But I don't know. I'll save any thoughts for Gibbs for another time.
Well, I'll save it all for the recap when I'm like, I told you 11th place is worse than 10.5. So I've got a lot of
finish better than Jimmy Johnson. So
well, I'm not expecting him to.
So would your grandma, but that's okay.
Hey, she would. Grandma knows. She's like a speed demon. I'm telling you. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our picks for this DFS slate for you. We'll go back to the trucks. Cody started you out with Matt Mills at $6,300 for his driver for DFS. I said the Sanchez, Nicholas Sanchez at $9,800 was my suggestion. Cody gave you Eric Almirola for the Xfinity race at $9,500. I said Sammy Smith at $8,600. And then Cody gave you Bubba Wallace at $9,000 for the Cup race. I said Ross Chastain at $7,800. And then on the underdog side of things, Cody gave you Ty Majeski worse than 6.5. I said Caden Honeycutt worse than 6.5. How those two are set at the same, I still don't know. And yet we still reach the same conclusion on that, but whatever. Cody gave you Cole Custer worse than 4.5 for the Xfinity race. I said Sheldon Creed would finish better than 6.5 for the Xfinity race. Cody said that Martin Truex Jr. would be retired by the end of Kansas and finish worse than 7.5. And I said Ty Gibbs would be a worse than 10.5 driver for the Cup race. We've reached the end, Cody. It is all over now, but to watch the races.
On to Kansas weekend. Here we go. Enjoy the Truck Series race tonight. And, best of luck to you this weekend, Rod. In the meantime, follow me over on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. Make sure you subscribe to the show channels as well. Add NASCAR Gambling on the X. Make sure you get into the YouTube, Facebook. We're on all those places. Jump over in the Discord as well. Join the conversation. Carry it on throughout the weekend. sg.pn/Discord. Every sport has a channel over there, but of course the NASCAR channel is the best one, Rod. Hope to see you over there. And then we'll see you Sunday night, Monday recap show whenever we can.
Yes, sir. Yes, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here. Got some stuff coming up on Sportsbook Review this weekend for the games and all my prop picks. And then, of course, check out the In-Between Media Back Road with Seth and Elliott, breaking down Kansas for you this week as well. Hey, listen, rate, review, do all the things that podcasters need to do to survive. This show is thriving, and we'd love to see it continue to thrive. So if you rate, review this show, more people will learn about it. I know you want to keep it your little secret, but let's share it with the rest of the world too. So
Yeah.
do that.
And even like if you've left us an Apple Podcast review before, we appreciate it. If you go back and like update that, it puts it back to the top of the thing, helps out the algorithms, all that. So always appreciated. Bosses see it again. That's always great too, right? So listen, if you're Friday 54, almost 55 minutes into the DFS show, toss us a rating. We appreciate it. It helps us out a ton and keeps us here so we can keep doing this for you.
Indeed. We know you are a true NASCAR Gambling Podcast hardcore fan. So, all right, we love you. We'll see you for the recap coming soon. So until then, let's go racing. You are in Kansas anymore, and let it ride.